It finally happened. The Indiana Fever didn't just win a basketball game. They sent a message. And not just to the Atlanta Dream, but to the entire WNBA. After enduring 2 brutal, morale-crushing losses, after injuries, internal drama, swirling controversy, and moments of doubt, the Fever walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse with a renewed sense of purpose. They absolutely dismantled the Dream, 99-82. But this wasn't just about numbers on a scoreboard. No, this was personal. This was revenge. And it started with 2 names, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. Let's rewind. Just a few days earlier, the Fever were in complete disarray. The team was fractured, their chemistry visibly strained. They had just lost back-to-back games to teams they should have beaten, the LA Sparks and the Golden State Valkyries. Those losses weren't mere setbacks. They were blows to the team's confidence. Fans were furious, their voices loud and demanding answers. The media was piling on, dissecting every mistake, every missed assignment. Worst of all, whispers about the team falling apart from the inside began to circulate. Rumors of locker room tension, disagreements on the sideline, and players questioning each other's commitment. Caitlin Clark was fresh off a groin injury that kept her sidelined for crucial stretches. Her absence was felt deeply. Her playmaking, leadership, and scoring ability were vital to the Fever's offensive rhythm. Meanwhile, Dantas had left temporarily for national team duties, leaving a void that exposed the team's vulnerabilities. Everything, rotations, chemistry, effort, was off balance. The team looked like 2 different squads depending on whether Clark was on the floor or not. The inconsistency, it was driving everyone insane. Coaches were scratching their heads, trying to find the right combinations, while players struggled to regain their rhythm. And then came the breaking point. Reports started surfacing about heated arguments between Caitlin Clark and head coach Stephanie White. These weren't just passionate strategy debates. They spilled over into the personal. This was tension that seeped into practices, into the locker room, into halftime conversations during games. Clark reportedly called out specific players, saying flat out they weren't passing, weren't contributing to the offensive flow. She wanted changes. And not later, now. Her voice, normally measured and composed, was laced with urgency and frustration. Sources say Clark told Coach White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard. That's right, one of the league's biggest rookies, who had been integral to the team's offensive schemes, reportedly told her coach to bench 2 starters because they weren't playing team basketball. That's bold. That's risky. That's leadership. It signaled a shift, a recognition that something had to change, that the team needed to rally around a common purpose, even if it meant challenging authority. So the stage was set. The Fever were on the verge of collapse, or maybe on the cusp of evolution. And the next game on the schedule? The Atlanta Dream. A team featuring Brittney Griner, a dominant force in the paint, known for her physicality and scoring ability. But in their last matchup, Griner didn't just bring her physical play. She allegedly crossed the line with verbal attacks aimed directly at Clark. Several sources claim Griner called Clark a trash white girl on the court, a comment that sparked outrage and outrage. The footage? Damning. The WNBA's response? Crickets. No official condemnation, no disciplinary action. Just silence. You could feel the tension in the arena that night. This wasn't just a basketball game. This was about respect, unity, and payback. It was about standing up against disrespect and proving that the Fever, despite their struggles, still had fight left in them. From the opening tip, the Fever came out with purpose. This wasn't the disorganized team from the past week. They were locked in, on both ends of the floor, and it started with defense. Rotations were sharper, help defense arrived on time, and communication was constant. The energy? Off the charts. The Fever looked like a team reborn, fueled by a mixture of frustration, determination, and a desire to reclaim their season. Sophie Cunningham, she was a beast. 16 points, 10 rebounds, hustle plays, diving for loose balls, getting under opponents' skin. She wasn't just playing, she was sending a message. We protect our own. Every time Griner tried to intimidate, Cunningham was right there, showing that this Fever squad wasn't backing down from anybody. Her tenacity was contagious, inspiring her teammates to elevate their effort. And Caitlin Clark? She didn't have her most efficient shooting night, but that didn't matter. 12 points, 9 assists. She ran the offense like a general, dictating the pace, drawing fouls, creating open looks for her teammates. She did what stars do, impacted the game in every possible way, even when her shot wasn't falling. Her leadership was evident, her presence commanding, rallying her team when it mattered most. But the real surprise? Kelsey Mitchell. After reportedly being called out by Clark for selfish play, she responded with an absolute explosion, 25 points on pinpoint shooting. She attacked the basket relentlessly, spaced the floor with precision, and made the right reads. It was as if the internal tension actually unlocked her best self. A player who was hungry to prove her worth, to show that she belonged, that she could be the spark the team needed. Aaliyah Boston? She was the glue. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. That's right, the big facilitating like a point guard. Her court vision, her unselfishness, her willingness to set up teammates. It all contributed to a collective effort. The Fever racked up 27 assists on 35 made baskets. That's a 77% assist rate. That's not just good, that's elite. That's the kind of unselfish basketball that wins championships, the kind that builds trust and camaraderie. And let's not forget, this was only the second time this season that the full Fever roster was healthy and on the court together. Think about that. They've barely had a chance to build chemistry, to develop as a cohesive unit. Yet in this game, they looked like a well-oiled machine, synchronized and confident. By halftime, the game was still close. The Fever hadn't yet pulled away. But then came that legendary locker room conversation. Clark reportedly didn't hold back. Again, she demanded accountability. She called out the lack of ball movement, the missed opportunities, the mental lapses. And she wasn't just complaining. She was offering real solutions, rallying her teammates to elevate their effort. Coach White had a choice: stick to the plan or trust her star. What followed in the second half? Pure dominance. The Fever outscored Atlanta 59-37 over the final 24 minutes. That tied their highest scoring half in 7 seasons. They shut down Jordan Canada, who had torched them for 26 points in the first half. They made quick adjustments, executed with precision, and did it as a unit. The defense tightened, the offense flowed smoothly, and each player seemed to feed off the energy of the moment. The chemistry was undeniable. The smiles on the players' faces, the way they celebrated each other's buckets, the energy on the bench. You could feel it. This team had finally turned the corner. The sense of unity, of purpose, was palpable. It was a stark contrast to the fractured team that had limped through the earlier part of the season. Sophie Cunningham put it best in her post-game interview. She said, "This is a special group that we have. We love spending time together. When we can just go out there, have fun, and feed off each other, it's just easy." That kind of connection doesn't happen by accident. It's forged in moments of adversity, in battles fought and won. And this team just came through the fire, emerging stronger. The Fever's demolition of the dream wasn't just a win. It was a revival. It was the game that reminded everyone why this roster, when healthy, has the potential to go all the way. It proved that when Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Cunningham, and the rest of the team are clicking, they're nearly unstoppable. But maybe the most important takeaway wasn't the box score, or even the revenge on Brittney Griner. It was the transformation. This team learned how to play for each other. Not for stats, not for egos, but for something bigger, for pride, respect, and a shared goal. Coach Stephanie White said it herself. This season has been about learning how to play we over me. And for the first time in weeks, we saw that in action. The players understood that their collective strength, their unity, was their greatest weapon. The game wasn't about individual brilliance alone. It was about the sum of their parts working seamlessly together. So what's next? The Fever have over half the season remaining. They've finally got a healthy lineup, a clear identity, and a newfound confidence. They've found a rhythm, and they've discovered an inner resilience. They've got the leadership, the chip on their shoulder, and now they've got the chemistry. If you're sleeping on Indiana, wake up. Because if this is what they look like when things finally start clicking, the rest of the WNBA better take notice. This team is dangerous. They're hungry, they're resilient, and they're just getting started. And the best part? This game was just a glimpse, a taste of what's to come. The Fever aren't just fighting to make the playoffs. They're fighting to prove that they belong at the top, that they can compete with the best, overcome adversity, and emerge victorious. They've shown that they can rise from the ashes, that they can unite under pressure, and that they can turn their season around with one powerful statement game. The message is loud and clear. Indiana Fever are back, and they're here to stay.